life is strange. Life knocks you on your ass.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
But it doesn't matter how it knocks you on your ass. It matters how you get up. All right, folks. It's Monday at 11 o'clock. You know what that means, a new show. The Chazz Palminteri Show. We got a great guest today, but before I bring her on, don't forget, you want to come and see the one-man show, the show that started it all before the movie, before the musical, the show that I wrote 34 years ago that'll be coming out soon as a film, too, A Bronx Tale. Go to my website, chazzpalminteri.net. If you'd like to come and see it live. John, where am I going to be, John?
September 14th, you're going to be in Munhall, Pennsylvania at the Carnegie Homestead Music Hall. September 25th, you're going to be in Nashville, Tennessee at the Schermerhorn Theater. Right. September 27th, New Buffalo, Michigan, Silver Creek, Four Winds Casino. September 28th, you're going to be in Detroit, Michigan at the Fisher Theater.
Wow. Okay, so that's the September shows. Come and see me. It'll be a night in the theater you won't forget. Don't forget, my restaurants, Chazz Palminteri Restaurant, 30 West 46th Street and 264 Main Street. One of the top restaurants in the country, Italian restaurants, very romantic. You'll have a great time. So my next guest, all right, let me tell you a little bit about this woman, okay? Nominated for a Grammy, nominated for a Tony, Broadway, theater, film, television, huge star. If you ever seen her on Broadway, she's really, has this incredible voice that you go, how is that voice coming out of that woman? An incredible singer, actress, performer, and wait a minute, songwriter. She had a hit song years ago, I meant to tell you right now. An incredible, ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Orfeh.
Hi. Well, I like that introduction.
Orfeh, you're one of the few people. Well, there's me too.
Yeah.
There's Orfeh, Chazz, Cher, Madonna, Elvis. We can go by one name.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
There is no other Orfeh.
But I'm going to guess that you don't have as hard a time as I do. People get really angry about it. And I'm like, get over it.
Why do they get angry about
I don't know. They get angry about silly things with me. And that's just one of them. I'm like, find me one other Orfeh on this planet that wasn't named after me. So,
Orfeh, and that's French, right?
No, my mother made it up based on Black Orpheus, the opera.
No way.
Yes. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
But you are French and Sicilian.
Yes.
And she just made it up. She said, I want my daughter to have a name that nobody else has.
And will be a plight for her entire life.
And you've never met another Orfeh.
No, I know there's another one. It's spelled exactly like my Orfeh. And apparently there was a record many thousands of years ago with that name. That's not where my mother got it. But you come to find out these things throughout the years because you go, this is so bizarre.
Yeah. Now, when you were nominated for a Tony for what, Legally Blonde?
For Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, that was a huge hit.
What happened? In theory, it was a huge hit. It's such a bigger hit now after the fact.
Really?
Yeah. TikTok has made Legally Blonde and all of the high school and younger productions of Legally Blonde. Somehow it's become this viral, gigantic hit now.
Yeah.
So we all talk about it all the time. And Jerry Mitchell and Laura Bell Bundy and we always talk about what a phenomenally huge hit Legally Blonde is now. It would have run forever if it was now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's strange.
Are they going to bring it back? They should bring it back.
I mean, they
to
should.
Broadway.
We all think they should. Everybody thinks they should. I speak to Jerry Mitchell about that all the time, and he's just so busy. But it's become a phenomenon.
Yeah, because my daughter and all her girlfriends, they love that.
And where were they then?
Where were they then? Yeah, that was so, but let's get to the beginning, Orfeh. Where'd you grow up?
New York.
New York. You were born in New York, went to LaGuardia, right?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, LaGuardia is a great school. I mean, you have to be a talented person to go to LaGuardia.
Yeah, there were some really talented.
You could say it.
No, it's true. It was a very, and when we auditioned, it was right on the heels of the Fame movie.
Oh.
And every person on this planet wanted to go to that school.
Right.
And, the movie really captured the spirit of what that school was like. You know, obviously we had way more academics. We actually
Right.
did have to take our academics, but
Right.
the teachers were phenomenal. You learned things that you just didn't even realize you were learning while you were learning them. You know,
Right.
what
Yeah.
you and I were just talking about, how
Yes.
you don't even realize that you're absorbing these lessons and these moments that just
Wow.
kind of inherently seep into your person. And then one day you're like, oh, it's kind of like learning a language. One day you wake up and you can speak it, and you don't realize
You
all
don't
along
realize it.
you were,
Yeah.
learning it. It's very
Yeah, the arts
strange.
is funny. It's like a bell goes off one day,
Yeah.
and you go, "Oh, that's how you do it."
Yep.
It's like a weird thing. I mean, but let's get back from the beginning. When you growing up, did you always want to be a performer, an actor, a dancer, a
You
singer?
know, I say this all the time. I didn't know that everybody didn't do what I did. I didn't know that everybody wasn't singing every jingle off the television. I didn't know everybody wasn't singing in their hairbrush to every record in the house. I didn't know that everyone wasn't driving their, adults crazy
Right.
in the road trip, singing every song on the radio. I just thought that's what you did. That,
So that's what was you.
that was me 24/7 to a fault. It was
Well,
like-
now, when I talk to people about you, and I speak to casting people and other people, they go, "Whoa, yeah, big voice,
yeah.
big, yeah." I mean, you have a big voice. Did you always have that voice, or you always did?
I did.
Yeah, yeah.
I did, and it was pretty unnerving coming out of a little girl.
Yeah.
It's still unnerving. So you can only imagine what it was like coming out of a 10-year-old. People were a
You
little.
you had that voice at 10.
I did.
That is something.
It just,
Wow.
and I'm sure that's part of the problem. The casting director's like, well, she can't possibly do anything else. She has that voice. There's no way she has any other skill set whatsoever,
But you do.
Big, big, big,
Yes,
It's like,
yes,
no, I
but you
can do
have-
this too.
But you have that voice, man. I mean,
do.
that's God's gift, So you decided you wanted it. Did your mother or father push you into the arts?
No, gosh, no. My stepfather, the man who raised me,
Right.
actually was the person who thought this kid's got something going on. So
At how old?
8, 9,
8 or 9?
and I wasn't a working kid. I didn't have a dadager
Yeah.
or momager at all. But he was like, I recognize something in you. I think we should go get you some headshots, and I think we should go and have some agent meetings and stuff. I was like, okay. And he got me my headshots. I booked a commercial for a famous bubble gum as a young kid.
Right.
And all because of him. He was the one that saw everything in me.
Your stepdad.
He did he's the reason I am who and what I am today.
It's fascinating.
Isn't that crazy? Like,
No, it always fascinates me that, like, if your parents didn't get divorced or whatever, your life would have been different.
possibly.
It's just fascinating how life is, how life turns.
Yeah.
Sometimes something could happen, something good or bad.
Yeah.
And your life just turns in a way that you got incredible eyes.
Thank you.
I mean, your eyes are like headlights.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've heard that before.
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I haven't.
come
Not
on.
in a long time.
Come on. I'm sure men tell you how beautiful you are. Now, I mean, look, I'm not flirting with you. I'm a married man. But,
And I love your wife. She's one of my
wife
dearest
my
friends.
wife has incredible
Yes,
eyes, too.
She's beautiful.
She's beautiful, absolutely. But as a man,
But you're a lover of beauty. That's
I'm a lover
beautiful
of
thing.
beauty.
That's there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm a lover of beauty.
Yeah.
I am. I love, and I could look at a handsome guy and go, wow, that guy is drop dead handsome.
Yeah.
I can't say that in my neighborhood. If I'm in my neighborhood and they say that, they think, well, he's a little, but no, really, when we were kids, we could never say another guy was good looking.
No.
But now, I mean, me and my other friend, we always go, man, that guy's a handsome guy. But your career, so when was the first, think back, when was the first, like, semi-break that you got?
Oh gosh, a semi break.
Yes. Well, something where you went, oh, wait a second, I'm in a play, even though it's a little play. Was there anything that took you to another level?
Well, I think, believe it or not, and people used to have such a thing about this, and I had so much of my success and what I was able to do in my life financially came from commercials and voiceovers. That was where I got my break, was in voiceovers, jingles, back when I was a child and there was a jingle
When
market.
you were singing jingles.
Yeah, and commercials.
Do you sight read too?
I can. I don't tell people I can. I guess I just gave it up. But
Right.
I don't tell people I can sight read because I'd rather hear it on an MP3 and learn the song that way.
Yeah.
But I can sight read. I play the piano, I play the drums, so but
So it was jingles that
it
really
was
financially.
voiceovers, jingles, and on-camera commercials, which I loved doing, and I did a ton of them, and a ton of voiceovers. And I think that my first break that no one will be able to find on YouTube, don't bother searching, it doesn't exist. There was a show many years ago when I was literally, I don't think I was 10 years old.
Wow.
Honestly, I don't. And it was also my stepfather who made this happen. And the kid in the film, they were doing like a thing about this kid's life. He was a very interesting kid, and
Right.
he was not from, he didn't speak English, and they needed an English speaking overdub. And even at 8 or 9 years old, I could do dialect. I could do any dialect. So they had me voice the American voice in what would have been that kid's dialect.
Wow.
And that was how I knew. See, I'm getting chills, which I shouldn't be getting.
and that's
because
when
it's
you-
me about me, and it's so. But
That's okay.
But
Yeah.
that's how that was actually how I broke in to showbiz. And then I started getting a ton of jingles, and then I started getting a ton of voiceover work.
Yes.
And even, this is even stranger. Sometimes, when you do a commercial and there's voices and stuff, sometimes they'll do a lift of somebody's voice.
Yeah.
I was always the person that got lifted. I was often the person whose hands were used to hold the chocolate. You know what I mean? So like I'm a body part. I'm just basically cut and spliced. But it was these weird things that I was like, I think I'm supposed to be in this business, because like the big breaks, the record deal, things like that happen later.
Later.
But as a kid, I got my SAG card from doing a jingle. Like that's how I became a must join. I didn't even know what must join meant.
Now, your singing career took off before the theater?
Oh, yes.
That was first,
There
right?
was no theater career in mind.
You were songwriting and singing?
I was a songwriter. I had a record deal. We were touring all over the world. I had a hit record.
Yes.
My album was selling like hotcakes, and the whole thing came to a grinding halt through no fault of ours. We were young. Again, we didn't have momagers and dadagers.
Happens all the time.
It was every story you've ever heard.
Every story.
Encapsulated in my life.
Yeah.
So that theater was never even on the agenda. Never. It wasn't even a
Now,
thought.
how did theater become on the agenda?
Well, when we were in the record business, it was the 90s. And if you recall, the 90s, everyone had a big troupe of dancers.
Right.
And it was like big,
Big.
regalia. It was like,
Right.
it was very Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation. We all had a troupe of dancers, and we were all like doing synchronized choreography, and we were touring and playing to big audiences every night. I was opening up for, we were the opening act for a very big act at the time that had just sold 7 million records. Which 7 million real records.
Back then, that was huge.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
So Or and More, my group was their opening act. So we were playing to like tens of thousands of kids every night with these dancers. And when the record business thing kind of just went,
It did,
one of my dancers became a Broadway choreographer, Anthony Ciula. He became the choreographer for Footloose, the musical on Broadway. And he called me up one day because, listen, we were very close, and I wasn't, and I've said this before, but I wasn't the type of recording artist who's like, I'm going to sit in first class and you guys just go ahead and languish and coach.
Right.
Like we rolled together, you know, if I was somewhere, they were somewhere. If I was going somewhere, they were with me.
Right.
We were a crew, you know what I mean? It wasn't like I'm the lead and you guys, be there. It just wasn't my way. And he called me up. He's like, you want to come audition to be a swing in Footloose? I just said, I don't know what you just said, but you need to just translate that into something I can understand.
Wow.
And he's like, I am choreographing the Broadway version of Footloose, the movie, as a musical. Do you want to come be a swing? I said, I don't know what that means. He's like, the swing is like the person who covers everybody.
It's so hard.
And I was like, oh, can I play Ariel? I was like, isn't this,
Yeah,
you
right,
know?
yeah.
And he's like, no, all the parts are cast, but they need 2 swings.
Right.
One to cover all the adult women and one to cover all the young girls. Can you come in and cover, you know, Rusty, Wendy Jo, Erlene? Yeah, I was like, okay. He's like, bring a book. I thought he meant bring a book to read in the waiting room because
Right.
the waiting would be so long. He meant to bring a book to sing from.
Why?
I didn't know that. I had my Mariah Carey unplugged book of
Wow.
songs. I grabbed it. I was in a completely inappropriate outfit. I didn't know there'd be a huge 2-hour dance call. And I wore like not at all the right things. I wore, you know, my combat boots and like a tank
Right,
top
yeah.
and overalls, and everyone's like in their fancy attire and their toe shoes and whatever. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And AC took us through the choreography. I sang. Someone opened the door, threw a shoe in the room after I sang my song. I didn't know that was a thing at the time, that
What
if
does
you're
that mean?
amazing, someone throws a shoe at you. If you're a really great singer, this
I
is
never
a thing.
heard that
This
before.
is a thing in
Well,
that
I
world.
never got a shoe thrown at
Yeah,
me.
if you get a shoe thrown at you, that means you just have like rocked the house. And so a shoe came in the door, and I was like, "What is happening?" And I booked the young cast
Right.
members swing in Footloose the musical
on Broadway.
On Broadway.
Now, how did you feel? I mean, people when they first time they get to Broadway, it's like, oh my God. Well, did you have that feeling? Or
No, because I was still so out of my element.
right,
And
right,
everyone in Footloose, by the way, it was their Broadway debut. There were maybe 3 adults, like adults,
Really?
that had been Broadway stars and Broadway
Right.
legends. Everybody in the cast,
Broadway
it was their
debut.
Broadway debut. So we were all kind of like feeling our way up together. You know what I'm
Wow,
saying? Going,
yeah.
oh, this is crazy. But yeah, that's how I wound up in musical theater. It was because of A.C. Ciula, who was one of my dancers in Oren Moore. And that was his next job after Oren Moore. He lucked into this gig.
Yeah.
And the rest is
The rest, you know,
my
I always,
Broadway trajectory.
I always tell young actors and people that I always tell them, and I tell them when I do my master class, I always tell them, networking is so important. It's everything.
I didn't even know I was networking.
Yeah, but you were.
I didn't know.
by doing a great job at every place you go and keeping the friends. And I always tell young actors and even people, older people, I say, your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, because that's how you get another job. By somebody saying, oh, I worked with her, I worked with him. Oh, I saw him in this thing. I met him at a party. I mean, I always tell people, be good at what you do and be well-liked, and you'll always work. Now, your first part on Broadway, playing a character, how did that come about?
Well, I did get to go on finally in Footloose.
In Footloose.
However, I had to leave because I think I went on once in
Right.
Footloose. I went on once. It was an emergency. The person called out maybe 10 minutes before the show
Right.
started. And, Janine Myers and I, she was the other swing. She and I had gotten to watch the show 1,000 times from,
Right.
the balcony or something. And they were like, you got to be ready. They didn't even have costumes for me because no one would call out while I was there.
Is that a nightmare? Oh, my God.
No, because I was young and
You were young, yeah.
didn't care. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'll show them.
Right.
And this character was on roller skates. Thank God I was a skater kid.
Oh,
Because not only did I have to do the part that I had never rehearsed for, I'd never
You had to
been
be
on
on roller
stage for,
skates.
I had to do a whole scene in roller skates. And thank God I didn't fall in the pit because I didn't know
Yeah.
the track. I didn't know what the stage was like. So I did get to go on. Then I booked a Broadway show, the longest running Broadway show in history, called Fascinating Rhythm. It ran 32 performances.
32 before you.
32 performances, yes.
Yeah.
We had 19 previews and 32 performances, but I booked it, and it was, let me tell you who the cast was. Patrick Wilson, Sara Ramirez, Michael Barres, myself. It was like a cast of
Right.
people that were just completely new
Yeah.
and became superstars.
Yeah.
So it was a really amazing cast. It was a Gershwin review, and that was not well received, which is interesting because throughout the years, I've seen so many aspects of that musical basically ripped off and put in other
Right,
musicals.
right.
And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we were way ahead of our time.
Sometimes that
Yeah.
happens, yes.
So I did that. and they called me and asked me to go back into Footloose as Rusty after I had left. So I got to go back and play Rusty for a minute. And so that was kind of how I wound up on Broadway, not sitting in the wings. And then what I didn't realize was that the producers of Fascinating Rhythm, the longest running show in Broadway history, one of the famous flops of the 90s, the late 90s, 99, they were the same producers for Saturday Night Fever that was coming to Broadway. So talk about the longest audition in history.
Wow.
The entire time I was in Fascinating Rhythm, they were watching me to cast me in Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
That was, but I didn't know, so that's good because I wasn't self-conscious about it or anything.
We've done that, yeah.
You just don't know, and I was like, it's a good thing I was well behaved,
Yeah,
and well received. So that's how it all happened.
Now, when you went to Saturday Night Fever, did you feel it was going to be a hit, or you weren't sure?
See, that's the thing again. It ran and it was so well liked by the audiences. It did not have the life it should have had.
How long did it run?
Not that long, little under 2 years, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a good run. That's 700 performances. That's not a bad run.
It was definitely over 500 performances, for sure.
I mean, I always say that's a decent run, man.
Yeah, but it was really good. And it was one of the, to this day, I haven't seen choreography like that, maybe until just recently. I saw The Outsiders. It's my favorite musical that's out there right now.
Yeah, I heard it's great.
It's phenomenal. But until then, there's great choreography. I'm a huge fan of choreography in musicals because you're really going to see that in the singing.
Yeah.
But Saturday Night Fever was really phenomenal. But this was before bootlegs and, people, if you wanted to get a recording, you had to bring in your 50-pound camera. You can't hide that. It was really great. And the cast was phenomenal. James Carpinello was phenomenal. Paige Price. We're all still really close friends, and the regalia and the staging, we had the whole disco floor
now,
from
James
the
Carpinello
movie.
played Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played Tony and, Richard Blake was in there
Oh,
with
that's
us.
right. Richard was in there.
We had a really, really great time. And Arlene Phillips was so brilliant and she was so wonderful and her assistants were wonderful. And the music director, everybody was amazing. And you're singing the Bee Gees songs.
Right.
I think that was one of the only times I was ever nervous performing was when I knew that Barry and Maurice were in the audience on opening night and I was singing their songs to them. I was I better not screw this up. I'm singing their iconic songs. But it was a great, great time. Really great time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Legally Blonde happens.
Yes.
Now, that was a phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
It was when that thing came out, little girls were going crazy.
They still are.
They still are.
They still
My daughter
are.
still goes crazy
more than
over that.
ever. That's the phenomenon.
Now, I heard that was a very long audition. You had to audition a bunch of times for that, right?
I auditioned a really, really long time, which is fine. Work sessions, auditions, decision making. And listen, at the end of the day, I got Paulette.
You got Paulette?
Yeah.
Which was a great part.
Really fun.
See, you know what I love about you? It's very rare. I got to say this about you.
Oh.
No, and I mean this sincerely.
Thank you already.
No. That's cute. Thank you already. No, here's what I'm going to tell you right now. Beautiful women are very rarely funny. I'm telling you that. I know.
Who says I'm funny?
Let me finish. Beautiful women are never really funny. And the reason why is they never had to be. They never have to be funny. They just walk into a door and the lady goes, I have two. Open up. Come right in. But a girl who's not, I know this might sound sexist, but a girl who's not fully attractive, you ever notice the character actor of the funny girl is always she's maybe a little overweight. She's not as beautiful as the lead girl, but she's hysterical. But beautiful women, to get a really girl who's beautiful and funny is unbelievable.
Well,
and you have that gift.
Thank you.
No. Don't be false modesty.
I'm not false modesty.
You-
No one has, honestly, I don't think I have ever, other than in the music business, in the theatrical world, I am not, and I'm not saying this to be self-deprecating, falsely humble, because I think false humility is a very bad characteristic trait. I am not considered a beautiful girl. I'm considered the funny sidekick, and I always get the funny sidekick roles because my personality overrides whatever I look like.
Yes.
And then after the fact, people go, "Oh, you got nice eyes," and you're kind of hot, and kind of. It's never what is that I lead with or is perceived, because my personality is of that.
It's funny
Girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look, in this world, there's funny people and not funny people.
Right.
Marx Brothers, funny.
Right.
You know.
We could go on about not
Laurel
funny.
and Hardy, funny.
Yeah.
Certain people are not funny.
And you can't learn funny.
You cannot teach funny.
You can't learn it. You
In the
can't
words
teach
of
it.
the great actor Edmund Kean, who, when he was dying, they looked at him and said, "Sir Edmund, I know dying is hard." He said, "No, dying is not." He goes, "Dying is not hard. Comedy is hard."
Yeah.
You know,
It is.
and then drop dead. That's funny. No, it's true. So comedy is hard. And to get someone who looks like you is funny.
Thank you.
And could sing like you.
Thank you.
And could act like you.
Thank
I
you.
mean, you know, the business
Where
is...
have you been all my life?
No,
Where have
but
you and Gianna been
no,
all my life?
But it's the truth. I mean, see, we have a business. We have the only business, the arts. And I say the arts, whether you're a painter, an actor, a writer, you could be brilliant. You could be one of the greatest in whatever your field is. But because it's the arts and the people can't see it yet, that's why some of these people are so self-deprecating, like Vincent van Gogh. I love paintings. And Vincent van Gogh, do you know Vincent van Gogh never sold a painting in his lifetime?
Sure.
He thought he was a piece of shit. So you have to have, and that's why when I talk to people and actors and I teach my master class, the mind is just as important as your craft. You have to say, I know I'm good. Not being to the point where it's like boasting, but I know I'm good.
Absolutely.
Now, when people get to see it, they'll finally see it. But because I live in a shit apartment and I drive a shit car and I'm behind on money on my rent, doesn't mean that's where you are talent-wise.
Sure.
The arts, like a doctor, he becomes a doctor. Once he graduates, he's a doctor.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell him he's not a doctor.
Right.
You know, any one of those professions. You're a lawyer. Now, but an artist, we only have our art to show. And it's always subjective of someone else.
Exactly.
You know, so that's why I always tell actors, and never be negative on yourself. Be positive, because don't hand the whip to the other person.
No.
Don't worry. They'll whip you.
No, but that's the thing.
They'll beat you up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Why do I have to help them? No.
No.
My answer is no. You want to beat me up? Go right ahead. I don't give a shit. You know?
That's me in a nutshell, and that very much unnerves people, because
Too bad.
Well, no, too bad.
Too bad.
But that is, I think, the overriding thing about everyone I've ever dealt with in my life is they don't forget about being funny and good looking, whatever.
Right.
They really don't like a woman with confidence.
Too bad.
But you know this.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, I always say the same thing, what you just said, I say it about sports. You see someone who is a genius basketball player, football player, baseball player,
Right.
swimmer, anything,
Right.
a runner. There's no vagueness about that. You don't get to say, do I think he's a great runner? Or
Right.
do I think she's a great ball,
Right,
whatever.
right.
It doesn't matter. You're a great athlete. You are a great athlete. But you can decide whether someone's a good singer based on your taste or what you think.
Yes.
It's you either are or you're not. And it's like comedy. You're either funny or you're not.
Yes.
But people get to decide whether you're a good actor or you're a good screen
Yes.
presence or a good singer. If you're Michael Jordan, you're Michael Jordan.
Right.
The end.
But Michael Jordan didn't make his high school team.
But once he did, no
Once
one
he
can
did,
say,
and then he
I
just-
wonder if he's good.
No, but you see, Michael Jordan's a freak of nature. Michael Jordan's like, He's one of those anomalies. He's like Tiger Woods,
Sure.
like certain people like that who have the gift, and then they had the teaching, and they had the will to be the best of the best.
Right.
Very rare does that ever happen.
Sure.
Very rare does all those gifts come together where Tiger Woods said, I want to be the greatest golfer in the world. But then it's always that when you get that high level, it's like Denzel Washington said, the devil only attacks you when you're at your highest.
Yeah. Well,
When you're at your highest, that's when he attacks you. Because
you
that's
think?
or sometimes when you look, life is strange. Life knocks you on your ass.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
But it doesn't matter how it knocks you on your ass. It matters how you get up.
Sure.
It matters how you get up. I mean, I don't know. We got off on this rant about art, which I think
But
is
I
great.
love this because
Yeah.
it's true and nobody
Because
talks
it's
about
true.
this.
I mean, what do you feel? How do you feel about, should I say young girls? Young girls that, my daughter,
Who I love, who's
thank you,
awesome and
who's
talented and beautiful.
incredibly talented, but she has a gift, and she went to Michigan, University of Michigan, a great program, and she's studying. Not just her. What would you? I'm sure you hear this from all the time. What advice would you give a young actor, whether it be male or female?
I actually do get asked this
Yeah,
a lot.
a lot. Sure.
I think that my best piece of advice, and you'll let me know if this resonates with you, if I knew then what I know now,
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
always, all of the cliches, hindsight 2020, all of it.
Yeah.
The thing that what I didn't realize that nobody got to tell me, and I think my stepfather would try to impart this upon me, but
Right.
when you're in it, you can't see, right?
No.
I wish that I could tell the youth, it's never about you. When you walk into a room and you don't get a job, it's not because somebody didn't like you. It's because you didn't fit the bill. And you and I have had this discussion.
That is a page right out of my book.
But
right.
you and I have had this discussion
Yes.
because I've auditioned for you. I've been
Yes.
in the room with you, and you could not have been more gracious. I never left and got, Chazz didn't like the shoes I wore. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Chazz had a vision in his head.
Yes.
And no matter how brilliant I was when I walked into the room, I didn't fit that vision.
Yes.
So I always tell the youth coming up, it's not about you. You may, listen, if you really tank the audition, then you tank the audition, and
Right.
that's on you.
That's on you.
Okay. But if you went in, unless you were so cataclysmically brilliant that you changed everybody's mind
Yeah.
in the room.
And that can
and
happen.
that happens. It happens.
It's rare, but it can happen.
Look, it happened with me with Legally Blonde.
Yes.
It happens.
Yes.
It happens. Otherwise, it's not about you. They're not really even thinking about you once you leave. They're waiting
Yes.
for that right person
They're
to come
waiting
in.
for the right person.
But what I also tell them is do your damnedest best, because they're going to remember you if you were amazing. And that
So
other
true.
part's going to come around one day. And they're going to say, hey, you remember when Frankie came into the room? He
Right,
wasn't
right.
right for that role. But why don't we see if Frankie can do this role? Because you made an impression. You just weren't right for that. It's
Right.
never about you. It's about them.
But see, that comes down to self-confidence.
You can't, you also can't, you can't teach self-confidence
I know.
either. It's like point dancing. You either can or you can't.
Yeah, you can't, but you could put a flashlight on it and just say, "Look at this." You
You can be an example.
you could be an example.
You can lead by
know.
example.
Look, there are people who might say to see, and you're right what you said. And you heard the old thing, when a guy's really confident and he's great. When a girl's confident, she's a bitch.
She's an asshole.
She's a bitch.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and which
I'm a bitch and an asshole. I'm fine with that.
Which I think is wrong, because I think there's nothing more sexier than a woman who's confident.
I agree.
Just like a man who's not confident. I mean,
Oh, that's awful.
that's awful.
It's awful.
But sometimes, especially me, because I'm a very opinionated man and I'm very strongly in my beliefs, somebody will say, Chazz is a little too uppity. He's an asshole. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. And if you feel that way about me, fine. But I know that I'm a good guy.
Of course.
So I don't care.
Sure.
So you should feel, hey, because I know what I could bring to the table. And let me tell you something. I know what you bring to the table.
Thank you.
I've seen you
I
perform.
know we've been in, you've read
No,
with me,
I've
you
seen
know.
you perform, and
Well.
and my wife has seen you, and I mean, you're one of the great Broadway people, man.
Thank you.
No,
Thank
I
you.
mean, I
It never gets
Yeah.
easier, though.
it never gets easier.
It never gets easier.
No, I'm glad you brought that up
It
because
doesn't.
I have some friends who are huge stars, way bigger than me. $20 million players that get $20 million a movie. And I'll be sitting in the house and I'll hear them scream and yell and slam the phone. I go, what was that about? The fucking agent. Blah, blah. And I go, does it ever end?
Nope.
I'm laughing. I go, does it ever end?
No.
And he said, no.
No.
It just gets bigger. The bullshit gets bigger. So
More money, more problems.
more money, more problems. But that's the business we have chosen.
True.
So
But would it be any easier? Let's say we were all of us in this room were working at a law firm.
right.
I don't think it'd be any easier.
Probably
I don't think I think the consistency of a salary and you have this gig
Right.
and you're a partner and you probably can't get fired and but
Right.
the machinations are no different.
right.
You know what I'm saying? I always liken it to that. If we,
I think you're right, but I think the criticism and the cattiness
oh,
and the wishing the other person fails is a little more in the arts.
egregious, absolutely.
Because if I don't like you on stage, that makes me feel better. Because I know, if you don't get the part. See, I always say it's very easy to find people to be your friend when things are down.
Oh, you
But-
think?
But as soon as you start getting success, watch.
Oh, you're the devil.
It's like all of a sudden, the person goes, as soon as I blew up very fast. And when I blew up, people were like, what's wrong? You think who you are. You don't call me anymore. And I go, I didn't call you when I was nobody.
Exactly. We didn't talk.
We
when
didn't
I
talk
was-
that much when I was nobody. So I don't understand that. But they had to say something.
No, they had to say something. So they want that connection.
They want that connection.
And they want to say they had an argument with you. That's why I don't
Right.
argue with people because they take that and go, see,
Yeah.
Chazz knows me because he fought with me and
Yeah.
he yelled at me. No, I don't even know who
Right.
you are.
I
You know
think-
what I mean?
I think the number one thing, because I always like to talk to people and end my podcast when we're getting towards the end about the most important thing in your life is emotional intelligence. That as soon as someone tries to get under your skin or say something, and once you just go, I'm good, man, it diffuses everything. No one could touch you. No one. It's all up here. It's Shakespeare who said, nothing is bad, it's all in the mind. I don't care what anybody says about me. When people are really old, like in their 80s and 90s, and I used to love to talk to old people, and they would go like this, especially Italians, they would go, what are you going to do? What are you going to... And I said, wow, one day maybe I could get like that.
Yeah.
And then finally, I'm 70, I'm 72, and I'm like that now. I go, my wife goes, who the hell do they think they are? God. And I go, Jana, come on, who gives a shit?
Wow.
I go, let's go have dinner. Let's go sit outside in our beautiful house and relax. Who gives a shit? Because it means nothing.
At the end of the day, it means absolutely nothing, but people will try it.
But people will try it.
Yeah.
People live
For that.
For that. They should thrive for that.
That was what the internet was invented for.
The internet, to me, the internet is wonderful.
And
but
terrible.
It's also the
Yeah,
Antichrist.
absolutely.
It
The devil.
really is.
Yeah,
It's-
absolutely.
Totally is.
The devil is in the details.
The devil is in the details.
Yeah.
But as long as you know that, and as long as you put a spotlight on the game, look, how could it be that people could be so much in love and then all of a sudden they're fighting over, like Billy Crystal used to say, they're fighting over a dish. No, my lawyer says we got to get. How could that be? It's all in the mind where when it's time to go, it's time to go. And I tell people, there are times the greatest achievements in my life is right before something terrible happened to me. Always.
Wow.
Always. You have to react the right way, but the greatest achievements in your life, no matter what it is, whether it's you're bankrupt, whether it's you can't find an apartment, whether it's a divorce, whether it's you're moving. It's how you deal with the problem. The greatest CEOs had a book, and it was called What Makes a Successful Person? And they said adaptability. How you adapt to every situation.
Yeah.
Adaptability, that will make you a success, or
Is that my agent calling?
that could be your agent.
That's my agent calling.
Who is your agent?
IAG.
IAG.
Yeah.
Who's
Who's also your agent.
who's also my agent when I did the performing.
There you
Wow,
go.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well,
And my dear Jason Weinberg's my
and
manager.
Jason Weinberg is your
Yeah.
manager, who's been
Yeah.
with you for a long time.
A long time, yeah.
A long time. And to have somebody you trust like that, and I
It
heard,
only helps.
it only helps. It only helps. But I always say, Orfeh, that you are a shining light in this business. You are incredibly beautiful, and I will say
You're
that.
very kind.
and
Thank you.
you are incredibly.
Thank you.
If you never ever saw her sing, I mean, you do some solo shows too in town.
Oh, yeah,
sometimes.
sure. I do a lot of concerts.
Yeah, a lot of concerts. I'm telling you, she's as good as anybody who's ever been on Broadway. No, I'm not overstating that.
Thank you.
Really.
Thank you. Thank
I mean, you have an enormous
Thank
talent.
you,
You're an
thank you.
enormous talent.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank you for
Well,
doing
thanks for having me. This was amazing.
No, thank you for doing the show,
No,
because
this is
especially
great.
young people, they look at you or they look at and I think the advice you gave about it's never about you, I think that's classic.
But it took us both a minute to know that.
Absolutely.
And I don't want people to suffer. I'm not one of those people who's like, learn on your own.
No,
You'll figure it out.
you're right.
If I can help you, I'm going to,
That's
because no
beautiful.
one ever helped
Right.
me.
Most of the time, the best actor doesn't get the part. Most of the time.
100,000,000%.
It's the one who just fits.
It's the look.
It's the look.
thing.
It's the feel.
the vision.
She has just enough talent to play this part, and that's the girl I always saw in the role.
Right.
That's it.
Like, what year did you and I talk about that? We've talked about this so much over the years.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's the truth. It's not about, you didn't go away and go, that Orfeh, those shoes. Ugh.
Oh.
I couldn't have given her that job. She
Yeah,
just
I
wore
know.
those awful shoes.
I just don't like her.
yeah, I
That's
just don't like
bullshit.
her. It's a load of crap.
It's a load of crap. You know,
know,
like you said, if you tank the audition,
That's
then
on you.
Then it's on you.
That's
but
on
other
you.
than that,
And sometimes people tank the audition and still get the job.
oh yeah.
That happens. But
Yeah.
if that's not the case, they're not even thinking about you. You
Right.
walked in, you weren't it. Bye-bye.
And people got to realize, I mean, Al Pacino, who I love, and loves theater, he used to say, when you audition, why worry? You're probably not going to get
Exactly.
it. Al used to say that. Just go in and give a great audition.
Just give a good audition.
It's 1 out of 50. The odds are not in your favor,
They're
but
not.
so what?
Exactly. Go have a good time.
Have a good time.
What else do you have to do? That's
What
your
else you
job.
have to do, right.
It's part of your job.
Have a great time. I tell you, I had a great time with you.
I had the best time with
Thank you.
Thank
I want
you.
to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We should do a master class in all of these things
You know
we've
what?
taught, that
Yes.
we've talked about. We
Yes,
should teach.
absolutely.
Stay tuned
All
for
right.
that.
All right, listen, Chazz Palminteri, next Monday, you're going to have a new show at 11 o'clock. Don't forget, if you want to come and see my one-man show, go to chazzpalminteri.net. The film of the one-man show will be coming out soon. I will let you know when it does. God bless you all. Don't forget my restaurants, 30 West 46th Street, 264 Main Street. My cigars, LaSacandreCigars.com.
LCGcigars.com.
What is it?
LCGcigars.com.
LCGcigars.com. John, that's why you're the man. God bless you all, and I will see you next week.